Connecting with the spirit world is way easier than anyone will tell you. And in this workshop, I want to teach you how that's possible, how you can do it for yourself. So welcome on in to this live workshop. I want to show you how simple it is. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story. I'm going to tell you a little bit about, some stories of my students and just illustrate to you and show you how easy it really is to connect. And that you don't need all of these crazy, weird spiritual rituals, right? We can come in there and we can do it very quickly and connect just like you are right now without having to go into meditation, without having to clear chakras, without having to open third eyes or do any kind of weird rituals, right? You can just go right into it. So just to tell you a little bit about myself and how I got started and where this all came about and how I got to where I am today. I didn't believe in any of this, right? I didn't believe in spirit communication. I didn't even think this was possible. I thought it was all for crazy people. I just wasn't on my radar at all. But then in my mid-30s, I did have a spiritual awakening. It was through a very traumatic experience. And I looked over one day, and in my living room, there were two spirits that physically manifested themselves. They were standing right there. I thought I was going crazy. I ran out of my house, freaking out. But make a long story short, when I came back to my house later that night, the spirits weren't there. I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning, and I could just feel them there. But I could feel how much they loved and cared for me and how much they wanted to help me. And so we began to talk. And I didn't even know how I was talking. I didn't even know how I was hearing them. I didn't know anything about spirit communication. I didn't know anything about mediumship. And it was just flowing. It was a flowing conversation, all right? As a matter of fact, that conversation lasted for 3 days, right? Looking back in hindsight, these were my spirit guides. They were giving me so much information over the course of those 3 days. I was learning about myself. I was learning about things that were going on in my life. They were talking to me about the future. I mean, just everything. There was so much going on in that period of time. And also during those first 3 days, every person that I had known that had passed up until that point came and visited me. Right? They came in talking, some of them were reconciling with me. Some of them were just dropping by to say hi. Some of them were telling me that what was going on the other side. And some of it was just a general friendly visit. And so, but what happened is at the end of that third day, I went to sleep. I woke up the next morning. It was all gone. I wasn't able to connect. I wasn't able to communicate with the spirit world. I heard nothing. It was all radio silence. Oh, something's going on. I'm getting a call. Sorry, guys, that was distracting. So anyway, that fourth day I woke up, all right, and it was gone. And so that was the day that my spiritual journey really began, because I had this burning fire within me that I knew that I needed to figure out how to get this back. I needed to learn how to connect with the spirit world. I can tell you what I wanted to do with it at that time. I didn't know where I was going with this. I didn't know anything. All I knew is that I needed to connect, and I needed to have that connection back, because it was such an amazing, beautiful thing. It was like you're open to this whole other world that you have access to, right? And so for the next 2 years, I literally did nothing but search and look for answers and study. I read a book a week at least, right? I traveled the world. I went to, all of these spiritual retreats. I did all of these meditation retreats. I went and I mentored directly with many of the big name famous mediums that are out there today. I did everything that you're supposed to do to be able to connect with the spirit world. I spent 2 years doing this, traveling everywhere. I went to England. I went to the UK. I went and studied at the Arthur Findlay College, world-renowned psychic and mediumship school, supposed to be like this real deal Hogwarts school. And it was really cool, but over the course of these 2 years, I had some really awesome, amazing experiences. I met a lot of cool people, got to do a lot of cool things, but nothing got me anywhere as close as I was to when I connected those first 3 days. I mean, not even a fraction. Nothing got me to that place. This was before I knew anything, right? That connection, that amazing experience was before I knew anything, about spirit communication or how to do it or how it works, right? And so at the end of those 2 years, I was so frustrated, I just wanted to give up. And so rather than giving up, I decided that I was just going to throw all of this stuff away. Everything that I had learned over these past 2 years, I just was going to just throw it away. Okay. Now, I decided what I was going to do was really think about the experiences I had those first 3 days, right? And to like, what ended up happening was like for a couple of weeks, really obsessed over it, right? What I was thinking, like, how was I feeling when I was talking to it? What was I doing? How was I thinking? You know, when the information came in, what was I feeling? What emotions were coming up? What was I doing? Where was I standing? How was it flowing, right? And so I obsessed over those first 3 days when I was so connected. And what that did is I started to have these little insights, right? These little tiny insights. And I started to apply and play around with these insights. And I would start to have like another kind of experience, a very subtle experience. And so now I had something new to obsess over, and I would analyze that, and I would experiment with that, and I would play with that. And so over the next 7 years, that's exactly how I did it. I just literally focused on each and every experience that I had and just reverse engineered it. Took me 7 years, blood, sweat, and tears. But by the end of that 7 years, I figured out how to connect with any spirit anytime without meditation, without any weird spiritual ritual, to be able to be standing up right where you are and go right into it and connect with the spirit world. All right. And so what ended up after that, I was like, cool, this is awesome. This is amazing. I'm done. Right. I don't need to, teaching this and social media and connecting with all of you guys was not on my radar. I did not want to do any of this. I wasn't even thinking about it. This was, connecting with the spirit world was just for me. It was just like this fascination that I had. But when it ended up happening is, I was going around in the community, my local community here, and I was going to a lot of spiritual events. I was going to the crystal bowl meditations, the different spiritual talks, and, just all of the different events. And I started to meet people in the spiritual community, and we would talk, and I would tell them about the experiences I was having with the spirit world. We would, talk about the spirits that I was sensing right there in around everybody. And what ended up happening is, when I would go back to some of these events, people would come back and be like, "Hey, August, those stories you were telling us really helped. And we use some of the things that you were talking about, and we're connecting with the spirit world too. It's working for us. Can you teach us?" And I was like, no, this is not something I want to do. I do not want to teach this. And so for the next several years, I just told everybody no, basically. But at the end of these 2 years, reluctantly, I did hold my first workshop. And what happened is about 20 people showed up, and I was so afraid of what was going to happen. I really had no idea how to teach this or what to do. And so I really did the only thing that I knew how to do, and I just shared stories, hoping that people could pick up on some information on what I was talking about and do it. So anyway, at the end of about an hour of talking and sharing stories and talking about what I was feeling and sensing in the room that day, I paired everybody up and I said, now you guys try. I want you to give your partner a reading, okay? And it was dead silent for about 30 seconds. Then all of a sudden, the woman in the back of the room started to describe the spirit that she saw behind her partner that was like in great detail, right? Started to talk about what the hair looked like, facial features, jewelry, what she was wearing, even like brought up this accent. And then the person she was reading for just broke down in tears and said, "This is my sister." And then all of a sudden, as soon as I could like take in what actually happened, everybody in the room was connecting. They were all connecting. They were all communicating. And, for about 45 minutes to an hour, I just walked around in total amazement that this was actually happening. These were all beginners. These were people, some of them had tried stuff before, but this was basically a group of beginners that had never really tried to do anything like this before. And so I was floored. I couldn't believe that it was working. After the workshop, everybody was coming up to me telling me how good it was, what an amazing experience. I was in shock. I really wasn't talking at all. I was like, I couldn't believe the feedback that I was getting. And I'll never forget, there was one woman that stayed in the back the whole time. She waited till everyone left. And she came up to me and she said, "August, I want you to know that my husband 20 years ago had died very tragically, and it was very traumatic. And I've been suffering this entire time, not knowing if he was if he was suffering on the other side or not, if he was still suffering from how he passed. And she had told me, she's like, I've been to medium after medium after medium, and none of them really connected and landed for me. But I want to tell you, here in this workshop, I definitely connected with my husband beyond any shadow of a doubt. He told me that he was okay, that he never suffered. He talked to me about what was going on, in my life, things that I'm up to now. He started to give me guidance, and she said, I just want you to know, you snapped me out of this 20-year grief spell in this one workshop. And I just really appreciate that. And she was in tears. I was in tears. We hugged each other. And in that moment, I knew what I was here to do. I knew that I had to teach this, and that's where I went. And so that's how I evolved and got into doing what I'm doing here, and helping everybody, and helping you understand how really easy it is, right? How it doesn't take years of training, how a group of 20 people can just sit down and boom, be there and connect without any kind of teaching, right? It was just about stories, really. So that's, so I just wanted to share you guys, what do you think about that? Has anybody ever connected like that? Do you guys think that it's easy or complex? Let me know some of your questions that you have in the comments. And then I'm going to go on to a couple, I'll answer a few questions, and then I'm going to go on to a couple other things where, I want to show you, right? How many of you out there think that you're not gifted, that you can't do this, right? Because I want to share with you, the next thing that I'm going to share is a story about that, about people who believe that. And then in the end, I want to show you, I want to share with you a story. If you're one of those people that have tried everything and nothing has worked, right? It's kind of like what I did, right? And I want to let you know what I found out, what shifted all that, what actually helped it work. All right, so I'll take a couple questions for now and see what's going on. Alexis, welcome. How do you know it's really your loved ones you're talking to, not some kind of demon? Do your loved ones feel like a demon? They just don't, right? Your loved ones, that's like saying, if I walked up to this really bad person and they felt really icky to me, how do I know that that's not my loved one, right? It feels different, right? Not to mention the demons and all of the dark stuff. That's just nonsense. That's religious conditioning. That's Hollywood. That's the movies. That's horror stuff that's all embedded in our brains, right? None of that is real. Okay, and I do want to acknowledge the type of energy that you're talking about does exist, heavy energy, but it is grossly misunderstood. It's nothing like that. You have nothing to worry about, nothing to fear. The spirit world can't hurt you. You're safe to talk to every single spirit that you come across. All right, and I'm not going to get into what that type of energy is, but I just want to let you know, because I know that a lot of people have this fear. All right. And I just want to let you know that it feels different, right? You're not going to feel the love, right? Because listen, what that boils down to is, what you're asking me is, how do I know that I'm not being tricked, right? Well, spirits can't trick us. They're pure energy. You feel what they're emanating immediately. So if you don't feel your loved one, if you don't feel their presence and the love and the amazingness that they share and that they're projecting to you, then just, tell them to go. I don't want to talk with you. And so my experience is that you're never going to come across anything other than one of your loved ones, unless you're trying to go out and talk with all spirits. Okay, which is okay too if that's your thing. I do it. Yeah, Loria says, I'm starting to learn about chakras meditation, but it doesn't seem to work. It doesn't. We don't need to do anything with our chakras. We don't need to meditate to connect with the spirit world, right? When we play around with our chakras, it's going to make us feel temporarily good because we're kind of moving energy around. But what happens is that because you hadn't addressed the underlying issue, your emotional baggage, right? It's only our emotional baggage that throws our chakras out of whack. And so if you don't address your emotional baggage, do all the energy healing that you want in the world, everything's going to go back out of alignment eventually again, and pretty quickly, because you didn't deal with the underlying cause of the misalignment to begin with, right? So chakras will do nothing. We need to address our shit from a real world perspective. Get into therapy. Right? That's really what it boils down to. Get into therapy, do your shadow work, connect with trauma specialists. All right. That's what's going to help align your chakras. All right. We don't have to imagine figures of light, imagine different things being wrapped up around us and pillars of light entering and beaming through our body. That does absolutely nothing to treat the root cause. Right. Same thing for meditation. Meditation is great for, if you have anxiety, if you have, if you just need to calm yourself, right? If you need to reset your central nervous system and kind of relax, great tool. You don't need it for spirit communication though. You don't have to, I don't meditate at all. You don't have to meditate to connect with the spirit world, right? And a lot of my students that come in, to my mentorship program, they ask me, am I going to have to meditate? I don't know how to meditate. And I will never, ever teach you about meditation. Okay. Other than that, you don't need it. All right. All right. So let's go on to the next thing, right? I'm not gifted. I really want to do this. I really want to connect with the spirit world, but I'm not gifted. I thought the same thing, right? I didn't even believe any of this. What it turns out though, is that we all have these abilities. Every one of us has all of them, right? You can say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm clairvoyant, I'm clairaudient, I'm this, I'm that. You're all of them. You're all of them. Seeing, hearing, feeling, knowing, empathy, taste, and smell. Those are all of our spiritual abilities. Everybody has one. I mean, everybody has all of them. All right. And, I've worked with thousands of people. I've never come across somebody who could not connect with the spirit world. All right. And it's evident to me, right? It's evident to me that we all have these abilities. We are all spirits. We are spirits that are inhabiting a body. Why wouldn't we be able to talk to other spirits? Okay. So we all have the same. Then there's no spiritual hierarchy, right? There's no spiritual hierarchy. Nobody's more evolved or spiritual or, ascended than the next person, right? We all are on this equal playing field. And so we have the same abilities that our spirit guides have. You have the same abilities of the guardian angels or, ascended masters, whatever you want to call these different beings. They're just like you. They're just like you, except you're here in a physical body. All right. So everybody's gifted. Everybody has that. And I want to tell you a story too about a client of mine that came in, right? As somebody that I worked with, one of my students. It started off as this like desperation moment, and it turned into like just this beautiful story. And I want to share it with you because it illustrates, if my story didn't show you that everybody has gifts, because listen, I am just a regular ass guy. Okay. I don't think I'm special. I don't think I'm different. I think if I can connect with the spirit world, anyone definitely can. Anyone else out there definitely can. So if you didn't get that from my story, I'm going to share with you another story of somebody else. So I had this one student who came in that wanted to work with me because she needed to connect with her husband who had recently passed several months earlier. It was somewhat unexpected. He had a heart condition. They thought that he was going to be around a little bit longer, but it took him earlier than it should have. And she came in and, she had already gotten, had been grieving, very sad. And 3 months, prior, and he passed 3 months prior. And so she had already been going through this. But what happened is because they ran a business together. All right. And the business was crumbling. Okay, over these 3 months, because not only was she grieving her husband, but he was the one who took care of like a lot of the customers and the sales and bringing the money in. And she did more of the back end stuff. Okay. She did more of the back end marketing and other things. And so, the business was falling apart. She didn't know how to handle things. She didn't know how to handle customer clients. She didn't know. And so when she came to me, she was like, I just need to connect with my husband so I can save the business. Then I'll grieve, right? I'll finish grieving after that. But my whole life is crumbling. My whole family depends on this. This is how we support everybody. We're big in the community. We have different programs that we support as well. So many lives are going to be affected if I don't save this business. And so we went right in and, our first session of working together, I helped her connect with her husband directly. And immediately the first thing that came through, he was like, look, I'm here. We're going to deal this together. just relax. And you could see, like, she connected and she was telling me what he was saying, and you could just see she was like, whew, and it all washed away because she knew, she could feel it, that he was right there. And then he told her, she's telling me this, right? I'm not connected at all. She's told me, she's like, he just told me where there's a $12,000 check that I need to go put in the bank. Right? And I was like, wow, that's cool. Where did he say it was? And she told me exactly where it was. And so anyway, we couldn't confirm it at the time, so we kept going. And so he started to tell her about other things, right? About different customers and how they needed to be serviced and who that she needed to call and contact first. He told her about a contract that was getting ready to renew that they needed to get rid of, that, you know, that they needed to cancel or it was going to cost them thousands. He also told her about a vendor, right, that was overcharging by thousands since the husband had passed. And so, and a lot of other things, operational stuff and how to handle things. It went on for about an hour, this connection. And it was, at the end of it, he was like, listen, we're going to do this together. I'm not going anywhere. We're going to continue to run this business and operate together. And she was like, you could see it all wash over. She wrote everything down, and then the feelings and the emotions came through, right? And then they started to have their, you know, we're able to talk a little bit more about the emotion and the passing and the grieving, okay? But anyway, so what ended up happening is she contacted me the next day and she was like, everything, I went and got the check exactly where he said. I canceled the contract. It was set to renew today, you know, and she's like, I got a hold of the, you know, everything. She had confirmed every single thing that he had said. And she told me, she said, August, I knew the check was there. I didn't need to confirm anything. This is just validation for you because I connected with him in a way that was so real and vivid. There was no doubt. There was absolutely no doubt, right? I'm getting chills right now. Okay. But anyway, so she went on to run this business. I get emails from her every couple of months, and she tells me about how everything is flourishing and how, you know, the business is doing well. And they started a new community program where they help serve foster children. They do sports activities with them and stuff. It's kind of like like a boys club back in the day, boys and girls club back in the day. They do something like that in their area now. And so they really give back to the community. And it's a family business. It supports the entire family. And so, you know, the point of all this and the reason I share this story is because she came in thinking she couldn't do any of this. And in her first session, she got such detailed information that it saved the business. All right. And yes, she did go on. She did. She came in and told me, like, my number one, I don't know if this is real. My number one priority is to save this freaking business. And then if it works, you know, if I'm able to connect and I'm able to do that, then I'll grieve my husband later. And she did. She did exactly that. All right. And so how many of you out there think that you don't have the abilities? How many of you think that you don't have the gift, that this is just something that sounds good and intriguing, but you don't pursue it because you don't think that you have it, right? So I'll take a few more questions, right? I'll take a few more questions and then we'll go on to the next thing, right? What the most important thing, those of you that have out there that have tried everything like I did and nothing works, I'm going to give you the secret sauce of what I discovered, how I got to that place and how you can get there. You don't have to do the 11 years beating your head against the wall like I did, right? You can get there so much faster. I'm going to share that with you in the next one. Whoops, I did something. I'm pushing buttons. Shouldn't be. There we go. I feel like I would logic away any signs. Yeah, that's really, I mean, everybody feels that way. Yes, you are psychic. Wadi from South Africa. Everybody is psychic. Everybody has all the spiritual abilities anybody has ever thought of and more. Amy. Hey, Amy. What's up? How's it going? No, I've been trying to connect and can't seem to. That's Sarah. Everybody feels that way, right? And so what I'm going to share in the next one is going to really help you there. Yes, you can connect with loved ones in dreams, but I mean, that's something that it's amazing when it happens, all right? And don't get me wrong, but I'm going to completely shut that whole thing down, right? It is amazing when we dream of our loved ones, but here's the thing. We don't have a lot of control over it. There's no way to really make that happen. It just happens on its own. You know, when our conscious mind relaxes, we leave our body when we're falling asleep and we're meeting up with our loved one in the spirit world. That's what a visitation dream is. And it's beautiful, it's amazing, it's wonderful when it happens, right? And I get a lot of people that are like, well, how do I make that happen? Well, I say, why would you want that to happen when you can just, why don't you ask the other question, how do I make that happen when I'm not sleeping? To where I can have an interaction with them like I did when they were here, right? Because that's what's possible. You can go right into an experience with them. You don't have to wait till you're dreaming. You don't have to have them come into your dreams. Then it is really meaningful, right? Because now you can engage. You can have a back and forth conversation with them, a flowing conversation, all right? As where if it's in a dream, it's kind of more passive. They're doing what they're doing and you can't really interact a whole lot. It's just kind of like an observation of them. Okay. All right. So here's the next thing, right? For those of you that have tried everything, I'm talking about you've taken courses, you've worked with spiritual teachers, you've taken classes, you've gone to practice circles, you've read the books, you've watched videos, you've been trying for years and years and years, and you still have not been able to have control over your abilities to where you can instantly connect and have a flowing conversation with the spirit world that is undeniably real. All right, this is for you guys, all right? The reason that's happening for you is because you have not found your unique way of connecting. Everybody connects differently. Again, I've worked with thousands of people. I've never seen two connect in the same way. All right, that's why the courses, the books, the teachers, the stuff that you're learning about spirit communication, right? And it's somebody else's method. It's some other teaching. It's something that somebody learned along the way and regurgitated and put their own spin on it over and over and over and over again. And there's no one method, right? This is what I find most people are searching for. Here's the rules. I follow the rules and it will happen. No, it won't. I can't give you a clear set of steps and say, here you go. That's why the course doesn't work. That's why the instructions don't work. That's why all of the classes and trainings you go to don't work, because they're teaching you about spirit communication. You have to learn your unique way of connecting so you can experience it. Stop learning about spirit communication. You don't need more information. You don't need another class. You don't need another thing. You need to start doing and start connecting. Well, August, how do I do that? Well, the same way that I did it. Just devour information. Go all over the place, but here's the thing. When I say devour information, I'm not talking about find something that resonates and just pound it into the sand trying to make it work. You're just going to be smacking your head against the wall because it's not going to work to the level that you want it to. There may be a little piece, a breadcrumb that takes you to the next step, and then you have to throw away 99.9% of the rest, and then jump to the next thing that resonates with you. And again, you're gonna smack against that. Is this the way? Is this the way? Is this the way? You're gonna find that next little breadcrumb, you're gonna move forward, right? And you're gonna have an experience. You're gonna analyze that experience. What was it like? How did that feel when it flowed through? What did it feel like? I felt like I was making it up, but no, this information came through and I got validation. What did that feel like when I got validation? What did it feel like when I confirmed that I was making it up, right? And so you're gonna just go from piece to piece to piece, validating and analyzing your experiences, right? And so that's one way of doing it, right? That's one way. And that is the journey to discovering your unique way of connecting. Don't study a method, because that method is not going to get you there all of the way, because it's not designed for you. It's not there. It's teaching you a method rather than helping you discover your unique way of connecting. All right. Now, like I said, that's one way of doing it. The other way, the way that my students are finding their unique way of connecting, is through my mentorship program. That's where I literally hold their hand and walk them right into that flowing conversation with the spirit world. But it's not really that easy, right? What ends up happening is as I'm taking them, as we're going together, we're on our journey together, we're connecting, we're there. We bump up against every one of their blocks. They're like, oh, I feel like I'm making it up. Boom, change directions. Let's try something different. Oh, I feel like it's not coming through all the way. Boom, right? And so we're bouncing around like a ping pong ball or like a pinball machine, right? We're bouncing around like a pinball machine. Bing, 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 off of everything. And then we eventually find the path and they're there. They have that first undeniable experience that just lights them up. And once that happens, the first time, we know their unique way because we bounced off of everything else. We know exactly how they connect. All right. And then that's it. From there, you've got it for life. You've got it for life. You don't have to read another book. You don't have to study another thing. You found your unique way of connecting. Any kind of answers that you want, you connect to the energy that you connect with the energy that connects us all and get those answers. You don't even need to ask your spirit guides for anything. You can do the same things that they do. All right? You can connect with your own energy and figure this thing out. You can connect to the energy of your life, figure out what's going on, how to get more purpose and meaning, what's the purpose in life, what's the roadmap to get there, what are the steps that I take, what's the first thing that I have to do. You can get that information yourself, right? You can tune into the energy of your decisions so you can make better decisions in your life. You can tune into the energy of any decision and look at the decisions that you have to make down the path of the initial decision so you can really go into depth about where you're heading in life. You can really increase the quality of your life through the decisions that you make. Not only can you connect with your loved ones and continue a relationship with them in the spirit world, but the abilities that you develop to do that are the same ones that you're going to develop to change your life. Are the same ones that you're going to use for your intuition, to read psychic energy, to read the energy of other people, to read the energy of a situation, to read the energy of a decision, to read and communicate with the spirit world. The abilities are all the same. All right? And so that's what you get when you find your unique way. Only have to do it once. All right. And for those of you that are interested, I do have some spots open in my mentorship. I only open a couple of them a month. Right now, there are a few places. If you're interested in that, you can go to the link in my bio or the link in these comments or the link somewhere around this video, and you can schedule an interview for my mentorship. Again, I don't work with everybody, but the first step is an interview. And so schedule an interview, let's talk, let's figure out if it's the right thing for you. And then, if it is, we can get you signed up right there on the call. All right. And so, like I said, the link will be in the comments or on my profile, in my bio, somewhere around this video. Feel free to connect. All right. So listen, I'll go and I'll get a few more questions. Let me know what you think about this. Let me know what you think about your unique way of connecting. Do you guys have any idea, like somewhat of what it is for you? Anybody that's out there that's been struggling, or maybe you found your unique way of connecting, right? Let me know in the comments, because sometimes that can help others, right? That can really help others by observing how someone else found their unique way. All right. Because there's going to be little pieces that may apply for someone else. So if you found your unique way of connecting and you're able to instantly connect with any spirit, let me know in the comments, right? Let me know that in the comments. And also, if you're struggling and you may have found little bits and pieces and this last part resonated for you in a way that you feel like you found some sort of missing piece, now you just got to figure out how to make it fit. If that's you, let me know in the comments as well. I'll take a few more questions and talk to you for a few more minutes. Yeah, so I can give some more details on my mentorship. So the way that the mentorship works is, we work together, right? We work together to find your unique way of connecting, right? And like I mentioned, that first time you connect, we know your unique way. You'll be 95% there, 95%. But that's not good enough. I want to get you to 100. So what happens, what we do with the rest of our sessions is once you get there, you're going to go home, you're going to be connecting, you're going to have unique experiences to you that are specific for you. Then we're going to need to explore those experiences because you're going to be like, August, how do I go deeper here? How do I take this to the next level? Right? Because once you're able to actually communicate and connect, this whole world opens up to you. And now you're going to want to know how to navigate that a little bit. And so that's more of what we cover in my mentorship program. But the way that it works, it's a group mentorship program where there is no curriculum. We're going in day one and we are connecting, right? There is no bullshit, right? I'm not teaching you anything. There is no curriculum to study. There's nothing prerequisites to watch. There's no exercise to do. Show up and we are going in and connecting. We're doing it. The experience is the teacher, not the material, not me. We're going to go in and do it. Okay. And so that's the teaching style. That's how it works. You know, we're going to connect and we're going to get ourselves there, right? We're going to get you there and we're going to get you there very quickly. Yeah. So Sky says, I started feeling with my skin and that helped me trusting physical emotional sensations. Yeah, so that's perfect. So we feel energy. That's one place that we're really sensitive to energy is our skin. Those tingling sensations, those feelings that we feel on our skin, if you just stop right now and just like focus on your hand, focus on the palm of your hand, stare in the middle of it, you'll start to feel little tingles. You'll start to feel little sensations. Then if you just focus on your whole arm, you'll feel all of that on your skin. Then you focus on your whole body. You'll feel yourself. That's energy. That's energy. And we're feeling it all the time. We don't notice it until we bring our awareness to it, right? And then once you notice it, once you're feeling that energy, information starts to come through. So it's very good, Sky. That's a key, crucial piece to discovering your unique way of connecting. Because if we can't feel energy, that's like the first step. I've got a whole nother workshop on feeling energy, right? But if we can't feel energy, then you know, connecting with the spirit world is different. And so that's the first thing that we should really focus on is just feeling energy in our body, right? We feel it in our body. We don't need some kind of like special thing. It's not something outside of us. We feel energy with our body. So Jen says, I'm not sure which option to choose from your link. So if you go to the link in my bio, or if you go to the link in the comments, you're going to see there's two options. Schedule an interview for my mentorship program, all right, is the first one. The second one is my free spirit communication guide. Now, this is just a set of frameworks, just kind of kickstart people, right? That's something that you can start to experiment with, right? Again, I'm not saying follow this and you will connect, right? I'm saying just play around with some of this stuff and see what happens, right? This is a starting point. It's a base for you, right? It's a base for you to start trying to discover. That's my free spirit communication guide. But if you want to work with me, schedule an interview for my mentorship program. That's the one that you want to click on. That will take you to my scheduling page. That's where it's that hands-on guidance where I'm going to hold your hand and walk you right into a flowing, undeniable conversation with the spirit world. Or even to get answers, right? I have students that come in that work with me because they need to get answers to major things, major decisions that are happening in their life direction, right? It's not just all about spirit communication. It's working with all of your abilities, no matter what you're using them for. AJ, no, it has absolutely nothing to do religion. I don't teach religion. I don't believe in any kind of religion. I'm spiritual. You know, my connection with the spirit world showed me that there is absolutely nothing to religion at all. It's completely man-made. And don't take my word for it. Like, I don't mean to offend anyone out there that's religious. Don't take my word for it. You connect with the spirit world without that, and you'll see. You make your own determination from there. Yeah, Sky says, I feel so much energy in my hands and I feel my guide touching my arms. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so Savannah, as far as like the mentorship payments, there's a couple different options, right? We go like the first thing is just to see if if you're approved for the program. But all of that stuff, how it works, what we'll be doing, how long it takes, all of that stuff, and the money part of that, all of that stuff we talk about in the interview because it's different. All of it's different depending on what level of service you're needing, right? I have different options. Yeah, Mary Jane, it's online. So if you go to the link in my bio, you can schedule an interview. That's where it all is. Link in bio. I think it might be even the comments. It's definitely on my profile. Wherever you're watching this at, you just go to my profile, and you'll find a link somewhere there. So, okay, guys, I see a lot of questions about the mentorship. Like the best thing to do, like, listen, if you're serious about connecting with the spirit world, you have the time, energy, and resources, right? And you're ready to have an undeniable connection with the spirit world, okay? Chances are you may qualify, right? Space is limited, so schedule an interview and we'll figure it out. All right. But here's the thing, you have to be serious, right? You have to really want this. It has to be super important to you, more important than anything else going on in your life right now, right? You have to have that level of dedication. All right. I don't like to work with people that aren't super dedicated to this. All right. That's the number one thing that will get you turned away. If you're like, oh, well, it's a general interest. No, I want people that are like, you know, this guy's for real. I need to figure this out. I want to do this. All right. And if you come with that energy, chances are you'll be able to get yourself in. Okay. But we'll cross that bridge when it comes. So anyway, guys, I gotta get going. I gotta run. I got some kids to pick up. Listen, it was really nice to connect with you all. I really appreciate you guys hanging in, listening to me here today, and all of your wonderful, beautiful questions. We'll see you again soon. Until next time, I love you all.